Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
And welcome back to the Patrick Riggins Show. After that quick little break, we can get right back into it. We got a ton of stuff to get into. This week, past couple of weeks, we've had the Olympics on TV everywhere, and I hate to have to admit this, but I think I'm one of the only people in the United States who is not watching the Olympics. but that doesn't mean I'm not keeping up with everything, though. As someone who's constantly looking at these things through the prism of freedom and liberty, I noticed one little thing that might have escaped a lot of people, but our athletes are responsible for paying taxes on their wins. Yes, taxes. So whenever one of our swimmers, gymnasts, bicyclists, or the sport Tori follows, women's beach volleyball, whenever they win, so does their caring and kind Uncle Sam. Not only do our athletes win a medal, they also win money, which is provided by the United States Olympic Committee. Now, these amounts currently are $25,000 for gold, $15,000 for silver, and $10,000 for bronze. Other national governing bodies also pay out for medals. For example, USA Wrestling is paying up to $250,000 for a gold medal, and USA Cycling is paying $100,000. Of course, the United States is not alone in making these payments. Italy offers $182,000 per gold medal, and Russia awards its athletes $135,000. Now, not content to merely tax the monetary payouts our athletes receive, the IRS also taxes the actual value of the medal awarded. The gold medal is only a little over 1% actual gold. The remaining material is 92.5% silver and 6.16% copper, making it worth about $644 by itself. The silver comes in worth around $330, and the bronze at a whopping $4.70. To solve this little conundrum, Senator Marco Rubio of Florida has introduced a bill to eliminate the federal government's tax on Olympic medals, remarking that this amounted to another way the government tries to punish those who succeed. While I agree with his introducing of the bill to cut someone's tax, I don't think the government is trying to punish those who succeed. It's just doing its normal thing of trying to get every little bit of money that it can, no matter where it has to go to do it. His bill would exempt the honorarium and the value of the medal itself from any federal taxes. Now, of course, their local tax jurisdictions might have something to say about whether they plan on collecting tax on those items or not, but at least this would get the feds off the athletes' backs. However, not every member of the Olympic team wants to drink from the fountain of liberty and freedom and low taxes. Todd Rogers, a member of the 2012 team, stated, quote, "For me, I make enough that I should say I should get taxed." He did admit that a lot of it would depend on how much money you make. If you are an NBA player, I think you should pay taxes on it. But if you are a track guy who makes $25,000 and was groveling to make it to the Olympics, he shouldn't be taxed, unquote. I guess this demonstrates the government class propaganda is working. What Todd Rogers, and I would call him Mr. Rogers if I didn't think I'd hear jokes from the producer of the show, but what Todd Rogers does not understand in his quest for fairness is that if people are paying a different percentage of tax, then that is inherently unfair. What so many people in this country have fallen prey to is this massive redefinition of what is fair and what is not. It used to be that fair meant we all paid the same percentage of our income. That would be fair. Some people pay more in actual dollars and some pay less. But since it is a percentage, it would all be the same and thus fair. A sales tax is fair. We can choose to pay it or not, and if we choose to pay it, it's the same percentage for everyone. If I buy $500 worth of groceries and someone else buys $100, the actual amount of money collected is different, but the percentage is the same, and thus fair. But we have allowed people to convince us that system while just fine for sales tax is totally wrong for income tax. Fairness is now defined as the actual amount of taxes paid, not the percentage. So if you pay no tax, and about half of Americans don't, then is it fair to you to use the roads, the bridges, the things Obama mentioned in his speech a few weeks ago? I have a quote from that real quick if you want to hear that. We'll pop that in real quick here.
Somebody invested in roads and bridges. If you got a business, that you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
He says you didn't build that. To that, I would add, you didn't pay for that. If you aren't paying any federal income tax, then you're getting a free ride on the back of all your fellow citizens. If you want to talk about fairness, I would say that's extremely unfair. And this was the very argument the liberals were making about Obamacare, that there were too many so-called free riders who weren't paying their fair share, as these clips from Nancy Pelosi illustrate.
It's a penalty that comes under the tax code for the 1% perhaps of the population who may decide that they're going to be free riders. It's a penalty for free riders. Those who want to be free riders have to pay they either have to take responsibility and buy insurance, and there are many ways for them to do it, or they get a penalty.
So there you go. If you don't have health insurance, you are a free rider. But if you don't pay your fair share in income taxes, well, that's fine. Not paying in one area is not acceptable, yet doing the same thing in another is okay. This is the problem with both sides, Democrat and Republican, liberal and conservative. They are both inconsistent when applying their principles, because when you get down to it, they don't have any. Other than the principle that government should do what they want it to do, neither really want government out of your life. They just want it doing what they think it should be doing, telling you how to live according to how they think you should. This is why this radio show is attracting the huge audience that it is, because I argue for policies from an American ideal, not a big government one. And those two ideas, contrary to what politicians, the news media, and even some well-meaning people will tell you, those two ideas are not the same. Government is not here to nurse you, to take care of you, to make sure all the risk is taken out of life. These ideas are mentioned over and over on this show. Here's a clip from one of the first shows I did. Let me see if I can bring it up here. We used to be a nation with people, when they got knocked down, they would jump right back up. You could ask an employee who just got fired or laid off, or an entrepreneur that lost their business, and you'd say, well, what are you going to do now? And they would respond, well, I'm going to try this, or I'm going to move over here because there are a lot of people hiring in that area. They would pull themselves up by their bootstraps and make the situation work. They would turn around a bad situation and use it as an opportunity. Now, when you ask people that question, the first thing people say is they want a government program to take care of them. We're just rapidly becoming a nation of dependent children. Here is one more clip from one of those early shows explaining risk here in America. Today, far too many people want to have it both ways. They want all of the rewards in life without any of the risks. If something goes right, they want the big payoff. But if something goes wrong, they want the bailout. The point here being to not look to government to take care of you. Take care of yourself. We used to do that in this country, but now it has fallen out of fashion somewhat, even to the point that if you are self-reliant, a self-starter, you are looked at as if you are a kook or some sort of crazy backwoods anti-government type that needs to be watched. The Department of Homeland Security sure thinks so. They're on record as being on the alert for people who are, quote, nationalistic or reverent for of individual freedom and liberty, or even if they are suspicious of centralized federal authority. Those are quotes directly from a DHS report. But as I stated in the first segment, don't let that stop you from fighting, because if you give up the fight, you've lost. But if you don't give up the fight, you won't lose. We are on the side that is right. No matter what you've been told, right always wins out. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to get there. While we're on the Olympics here, I had a real quick story also. Although, let's see, it's 4 women. I figured Tori would like this one. 4 women carried out a topless protest at the Olympics.
I like it.
Not that they were protesting people being topless. They were topless women protesting. But before you get too excited, Tori, I think it's good to mention that I've watched the video, and it isn't anything like what you might think. It wasn't like it was a bunch of, well, swimsuit models protesting. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, the women were from the Ukrainian group Femin, and they are internationally known for organizing topless protests against sexual discrimination and corruption in the Ukraine. A statement on the group's Facebook page claims the protest was against countries carrying out Sharia law competing in the Olympic Games. Their Facebook quote was, "With the support of the IOC, which is the International Olympic Committee, these Islamist governments use the participation of women in the games to hide thousands of victims," unquote. Interestingly, Sharia law is becoming more and more commonplace in the country where the Olympic Games are actually being held. And part of Sharia law states that there is a ban on alcohol, gambling, drugs, music, smoking, and homosexuality, as well as on men and women mixing in public. So I would guess the next place the gay rights activists will be protesting are the local mosques instead of the Chick-fil-A. Although if it was a topless protest, we might have to do a remote to cover that event, Tori.
Yes.
And we'd be doing it from purely a news point of view.
Yes.
To let our audience know we are constantly on top of these sort of things in the community.
And I am willing to make that sacrifice.
There we go. Maybe to get ready, we run across the street to Hooters.
For you, the listener, yes. Training
at Hooters.
They're out there just cussing us right now.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people probably cursing me.
These are the jokes. These are the jokes.
All right. We're up on the middle of the break here, middle of the hour already here on the Patrick Riggins Show.
Where are we?
It's 4:30. We're at the break. Tori is still recovering from the start of the show.
Oh, man, I don't even know where we're at.
Yeah, tally there. You didn't think I'd get that.
Oh, you got that reference.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I don't know what's going on.
All right, this is the Patrick Riggins Show. We will be back with the last half hour of this very interesting show. We'll see what happens in this last half hour. Come back after these messages.